Hey there. Ready to dive into something that, most people wouldn't call thrilling, but it's secretly the backbone of like all those successful companies and fulfilling careers.
hmm
We're talking staff training plans.
Oh, yeah.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
Not exactly a beach read, right?
Right.
But hold on, because this deep dive, this is going to change how you think about training, I think.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're taking a look at a company's training plan that focuses on this competency development.
Okay.
And it's fascinating how they've kind of cracked the code on aligning training with company goals and indeed individual growth.
Okay, so that term, competency development, can we
Yeah.
can we break that down a bit? It sounds kind of jargony.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah. Basically, it means making sure people have the specific skills and knowledge they need to absolutely crush it in their roles. And this plan is like a step-by-step guide to figuring out exactly what those skills are and how to build them.
So if I'm picturing this right, it's like you wouldn't build a house without a blueprint.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
This plan is the blueprint for making sure everyone at a company has the tools they need to succeed.
Spot on. And just like a good blueprint, it all starts with a solid foundation, a needs assessment. Imagine trying to solve a problem without even knowing what the problem is. This is where you get that clarity.
Okay, that makes sense. But what does a needs assessment look like in the real world?
Well, this plan breaks it down into three main parts. First, you've got the competency gap analysis,
Okay.
which is just a fancy way of saying where are the gaps between what people need to know and what they actually know right now.
So like if my job requires me to know a certain software program,
Hmm.
but I've only ever used like the old version, that's a competency gap.
Exactly. And imagine trying to hit a target you can't even see. Identifying these gaps is all about making sure everyone's aiming at the right target.
Okay, so we've got our target identified. What's next?
Next up, you've got performance evaluations. This is where you look at how people are actually performing in their roles.
Mhm.
Are they hitting their goals? Where are they excelling? And most importantly, where's there room for improvement?
So it's not just about what people should know, but how they're actually using that knowledge on the job.
Right. But the really smart thing about this plan is that it doesn't just stop there. It also emphasizes gathering input directly from employees through surveys and interviews.
Ah, so it's not just a top-down approach. It's about actually asking employees, "Hey, what do you think you need to succeed?
Yeah.
What are your goals?"
Precisely. And what's fascinating is that, research shows that when employees feel like their voices are heard, they're way more engaged and invested in their training. It's about getting everyone on board and excited to learn.
This is all starting to click for me now, but we've been talking a lot about individual skills.
hmm
How does all of this tie back to the company's goals?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want people just randomly learning things, right?
Absolutely not. And that's where the real brilliance of this plan kind of shines through.
Yeah.
Everything we've talked about so far, the competency gap analysis, the performance evaluations, the employee feedback, it's all connected to the company's overall business strategy.
So let me see if I understand this. If a company's big goal is to, say, launch a new product line,
Yeah.
the training plan would focus on developing the specific skills employees need to make that launch a success.
Exactly. And this is a fantastic moment for you to pause and think about your own workplace.
Okay.
If your team had to tackle a major challenge, what skills would be like absolutely essential to get everyone across the finish line?
Wow, that's a great question to think about. It makes you realize how strategic training really is. It's about equipping people with the exact tools they need
Mm.
to not only do their jobs well,
Right.
but to contribute to something bigger.
You got it.
Yeah.
And once you've got a clear picture of those needs, the next step is figuring out how you'll actually measure success.
So it's like setting a destination before you even start the journey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The plan calls these measurable destinations objectives.
Oh,
And
wow.
it emphasizes making them crystal clear and, well, measurable.
Right.
Think about it this way. If you were learning to play a new musical instrument,
Yeah.
how would you know if you were making progress?
Right.
You'd probably set specific goals, like
Yeah.
like being able to play a certain song or
Yeah.
hitting all the right notes.
I see what you mean. So in the workplace, these objectives might be things like improving a specific technical skill, mastering a new software program,
Yeah.
or even becoming a better communicator.
You nailed it. The plan even talks about using these objectives to help employees prepare for promotions.
Wow.
By setting clear goals, you're not just kind of wandering aimlessly through the training process.
Right.
You're creating a roadmap for success.
So if I'm picturing this right, we've laid the groundwork with a needs assessment. We've set our destination with clear objectives.
Right.
What's next?
Next comes the really fun part,
Okay.
designing the actual training program.
Oh, okay.
And this is where things can get really creative.
Okay. Let's dive into that.
Okay.
I'm all ears.
The plan lays out some key design elements.
Okay.
Starting with the content itself. It's all about figuring out what specific topics need to be covered and how to organize them into logical modules that are easy to digest.
But wouldn't that depend on the specific roles and skills we're talking about? I mean, a training program for a software developer would look very different from one for like a sales representative, right?
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
The plan really stresses the importance of tailoring the content to different roles and skill levels. It's not a one size fits all approach.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So once you know what you're going to teach, how do you decide how to teach it? I'm imagining everything from those like stuffy conference room lectures to like interactive online courses.
You've got it.
Yeah.
The plan calls this choosing your methodology.
Got it.
And there are tons of options. In-person workshops, online courses, simulations,
Oh, wow.
even mentoring programs.
Yeah.
And each format has its own strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, so break it down for me. What are the pros and cons of, say, in-person workshops versus online courses?
Well, in-person workshops are great for that face-to-face interaction and hands-on learning. They're ideal for building relationships and tackling complex topics that benefit from real-time discussion and feedback.
But I can imagine them being a logistical nightmare, especially for like bigger companies.
Mm.
Getting everyone in the same room at the same time can't be easy.
You're right. They can be a bit tricky to coordinate, and that's where online courses can be a real game changer.
Okay.
They offer incredible flexibility,
Oh.
allowing people to learn at their own pace
Yeah.
and on their own schedule.
Yeah.
Plus, they can be accessed from anywhere with an internet connection, which is a huge plus in today's world.
And they're probably more cost effective too, right? No need to like
Yeah.
book expensive conference rooms or fly people in from different locations.
Often, yeah. But
Yeah.
it's not always a clear-cut decision. The plan suggests weighing the pros and cons of each format and choosing what best aligns with your specific needs and objectives.
So like if your training goal is to build teamwork and collaboration, maybe an in-person workshop is the way to go.
Yeah.
But if it's about learning a specific software program, an online course might be more efficient.
Exactly. And it's not always an either-or situation.
Mhm.
Sometimes the best approach is a blended learning model,
Yeah.
combining the best of both worlds.
This is making me think about all those times I've sat through training sessions that were either totally boring
Yeah.
or just didn't stick.
Right.
It's like they missed the mark on both the content and the delivery.
It happens more often than you think. And that's why the plan also stresses the importance of considering the duration of the training. How much time will it take?
Right.
How can you make it manageable for people who are already juggling a million things?
Right, because nobody wants to be bombarded with like hours and hours of training on top of their, already packed work week.
Yeah.
It's a recipe for burnout.
Exactly. The plan advocates for realistic scheduling,
Right.
and even breaking down training into bite-sized chunks that are easier to digest and fit into busy schedules.
That's such a good point. It's like instead of trying to cram everything into like one massive session,
Yeah.
you're giving people the space to actually absorb the information and apply it to their work.
Precisely. And speaking of applying it to their work, we can't forget about the resources needed to make all of this happen.
Yeah.
Materials, technology, even bringing in outside facilitators. It all requires careful planning and budgeting.
It's an investment, right?
Yeah.
And like any investment, you want to make sure you're getting the most bang for your buck.
Absolutely. The plan really highlights the importance of investing in the right resources to ensure the training is effective and engaging. And that's where I want to bring you into the driver's seat for a moment.
Okay.
Imagine you're designing your ideal training program. What format would you prefer? What would make it truly engaging and effective for you?
Hmm. That's a good question. If it were up to me, I think I'd go for a blended learning approach.
Okay. Yeah.
Some online modules to cover the basics,
Yeah.
maybe some short videos or interactive exercises to keep things interesting.
Yeah.
And then some in-person sessions for the the really meaty stuff.
Right.
Where I could bounce ideas off other people and get some real-time feedback. What about you?
I think you just described the perfect training program. You've clearly put a lot of thought into what works best for you, and that's a great starting point for any organization looking to design impactful training.
This is all so fascinating. We've covered so much ground already, from identifying training needs to setting clear objectives to designing engaging programs.
Right.
But I have a feeling there's a lot more to unpack, especially when it comes to actually putting this plan into action.
You're absolutely right, and that's exactly where we'll pick up in part 2 of this deep dive. We'll explore the nitty-gritty of implementation, from communication and logistics to monitoring progress and gathering feedback.
All right, we're back, ready to tackle the next phase of this training plan journey. We've got our blueprint.
Right.
We've got our destination. We've got our shiny new training program all designed.
Right.
But now comes the real challenge.
Yeah.
Making it all happen in the real world.
You're absolutely right. It's one thing to have a great plan on paper.
Right.
But actually implementing it effectively is where a lot of organizations kind of stumble.
Yeah.
It's like having all the ingredients for a delicious meal, but then forgetting to turn on the oven.
Oh, I can totally relate to that. I've definitely had my share of kitchen disasters.
Yeah.
But in the context of training, what does a successful implementation actually look like? What are the key ingredients, so to speak?
Well, this plan lays out a really thoughtful process, and it all starts with communication.
Okay.
You have to make sure everyone involved understands the what, the why, and the how of the training.
So it's not just about sending out a company-wide email saying, "Hey, everyone, mandatory training starts next week."
Yeah.
There's got to be more to it than that, right?
Yeah, definitely. You want to get people excited about the training, not dreading it.
Yeah.
Explain how it connects to the company's goals, how it will benefit them individually,
right,
and what they can expect during the process.
It's about making that personal connection, showing people that this training isn't just another task on their to-do list, but an opportunity to grow and develop.
Exactly. And clear communication also helps set those expectations and reduce anxiety. People are more likely to engage with the training if they know what's expected of them.
Okay, so we've got everyone on board, excited to learn. What's next?
Next comes the logistics, and this is where things can get a bit tricky.
Okay.
You've got to think about scheduling those sessions, securing spaces if you're doing in-person training, gathering all the materials, coordinating facilitators, all those behind the scenes details that can make or break the whole experience.
It sounds like a project manager's dream or nightmare, depending on how organized you are.
It definitely requires meticulous planning and attention to detail.
Yeah.
The plan actually recommends creating a detailed checklist to make sure nothing falls through the cracks.
I can see how that would be super helpful, especially if you're rolling out training to a large group of people.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, even with the best planning, things don't always go smoothly.
Right.
What happens when those inevitable hiccups arise?
That's where monitoring and flexibility come in.
Okay.
It's not enough to just set the training in motion and walk away. You need to keep an eye on things, make adjustments as needed, and be responsive to feedback.
So it's about being proactive, not reactive. I'm imagining, having someone dedicated to checking in on how the training is going, gathering feedback from participants, and making sure everything is running smoothly.
You're exactly right. The plan actually refers to this as having a feedback loop
Okay.
where information is constantly flowing between the organizers, the facilitators,
Right.
the participants.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like a constant temperature check to make sure the training is hitting the mark
Right.
and meeting everyone's needs.
Yeah.
But even with all that monitoring and adjustment, how do we know if the training actually worked? I mean, how do we measure its real impact?
That's the million-dollar
Yeah.
question, and it's where evaluation takes center stage.
Okay.
The plan emphasizes evaluation at multiple stages.
Okay.
Before the training to establish a baseline,
Right.
during the training to check for understanding, and after the training to assess the long-term impact.
So it's not just a one-time assessment at the end. It's an ongoing process
Right.
of gathering, data and insights. But what does that evaluation actually look like in practice?
Hmm.
Are we talking quizzes,
Hmm.
surveys, something else entirely?
It can be a combination of different methods.
Okay.
The plan mentions quizzes and tests to assess knowledge retention,
Mhm.
but it also stresses the importance of gathering qualitative feedback
Right.
through surveys, interviews, and even focus groups.
So it's not just about checking if people can remember like facts and figures.
Right.
It's about understanding how the training has impacted their skills, their confidence,
Yeah,
and ultimately their performance on the job.
precisely. And feedback from participants is crucial. It's how you identify what worked well, what could be improved, and
Yeah.
how to make the training even more effective next time around.
It's a learning process for everyone involved, really. And I think this is a great point for you to take a moment and reflect on your own training experiences. Think back to a time when you participated in a training program
Mm.
that really stood out,
Mm.
either positively or negatively.
Yeah.
What made it memorable? What did you learn from it?
That's a great exercise.
Yeah.
Our experiences as learners can be incredibly valuable when it comes to designing and implementing effective training.
And speaking of valuable experiences, there's one piece of this puzzle that we haven't talked about yet.
Uh-huh.
How do we make sure this isn't just a one-time event?
Right.
How do we create a culture where learning is ongoing
Mm.
and integrated into the fabric of the organization?
That's where we shift our focus to the long game,
Okay.
measuring the impact of your training program and ensuring it continues to deliver results. And that's exactly what we'll explore in part 3 of this deep dive.
We're back and ready to shift gears a little bit
Good.
from the how-to of training to the so what.
Right.
We've spent a lot of time talking about designing and implementing great training programs, but now I want to get into like the impact.
Mm.
How do we know if all this effort is actually making a difference?
That's the question every organization should be asking.
Right.
It's not enough to just deliver training and hope for the best.
Right.
You have to measure its impact
Yeah.
and make sure it's delivering a real return on investment.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we connect training to like tangible bottom line results?
This plan offers some great insights.
Okay.
It talks about tying training back to measurable outcomes like increased productivity, improved work quality, higher customer satisfaction scores, even a reduction in errors or accidents.
So if we see like a noticeable improvement in those areas after a training program, we can be pretty confident that the training played a role.
Exactly. It's about looking for those correlations and being able to demonstrate that the training had a positive impact.
Right.
And you know what else is interesting?
What's that?
The plan also highlights the impact of training on talent retention.
Oh, that makes sense. If employees feel like their company is investing in their growth and development,
Mhm.
they're more likely to stick around.
Absolutely. It's a win-win,
Yeah.
Employees gain valuable skills and knowledge,
Right.
and the company benefits from a more engaged, skilled, and loyal workforce.
Yeah.
But achieving those long-term benefits, it requires a commitment to continuous improvement.
So it's not just about delivering a training program once and then, calling it a day.
Right.
We need to constantly be evaluating and refining our approach.
Precisely. The world of work is constantly changing. New technologies emerge, industry standards evolve, customer expectations shift.
Right.
Your training programs, they need to keep pace with those changes to remain relevant and effective.
It's like that saying, what got you here won't get you there. You
Yeah.
can't just rest on your laurels. You've got to constantly be learning and adapting.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that? How do we build that continuous improvement into our training programs?
The plan emphasizes the importance of regular reviews and updates.
Okay.
It suggests gathering feedback from participants and facilitators, analyzing data on program effectiveness, and staying on top of industry trends and best practices.
So it's a cyclical process of planning, implementing, evaluating, and refining.
Right.
And I imagine that having a dedicated team or individual responsible for overseeing this process is crucial.
Absolutely. Someone who can champion the cause of continuous learning
Yeah.
and ensure that that training remains a top priority for the organization.
And it's not just about the training itself, right?
Right.
It's about creating a culture where learning is valued and encouraged at all levels.
You nailed it. It's about fostering an environment where people feel comfortable asking questions, trying new things, and
Right.
and sharing their knowledge with others.
And that's where leadership plays a huge role, right?
Mm.
Leaders need to set the tone, walk the talk, and demonstrate that learning is a priority for everyone, not just for those in entry-level positions.
Exactly. When leaders are actively involved in training and development, it sends a powerful message to the entire organization.
Yeah.
It shows that that learning is valued, and it encourages others to follow suit.
This has been such an insightful deep dive.
Yeah.
We've covered so much ground from the initial needs assessment all the way to fostering a culture of continuous learning. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on the power of strategic staff training.
I'm so glad to hear that. It's been a pleasure exploring this plan with you. And now, as we wrap up, we want to leave you with a challenge.
Okay.
Take what you've learned today and apply it to your own life.
Mm.
Think about your own career goals
Yeah.
and the skills you need to achieve them.
Mm.
What steps can you take to invest in your own development? Maybe it's signing up for an online course,
Right.
attending a conference,
Yeah.
or even just having a conversation with your manager about professional development opportunities.
It all starts with that first step, right?
Yeah, exactly. Whatever it is, take action.
Yeah.
Investing in yourself is the best investment you'll ever make.
Mhm.
And remember, learning is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
Embrace the process.
Yeah.
Stay curious and never stop growing.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of staff training. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to be the best version of yourself.